Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's story is one that surprised even me when I first heard it, and I promise you by the end, you'll understand why this story touched millions of hearts around the world. So sit back, relax, and let me take you into the world of wealth, loneliness, hidden pain, and one unexpected act of love. Mansion stood on the hill like a silent fortress overlooking the city. The low marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and walls decorated with priceless art. But despite all the luxury, there was no warmth inside this house. Only echoes. The house belonged to Alexander Hale, a self-made millionaire known for his sharp mind, ruthless business deals, and icy demeanor. He had everything: money, power, respect. But there was one thing he couldn't buy: peace inside his own home. Alexander was a widower. His wife had passed away during childbirth 2 years earlier, leaving him alone with newborn twins, a boy named Ethan and a girl named Emma. From the outside, people admired him, a successful man raising twins alone, but behind closed doors, the reality was very different. The twins were difficult, not in the normal way. Babies cry, but in a way that seemed almost intentional. They screamed for hours, threw tantrums the moment they could walk, and seemed to reject anyone who tried to care for them. Nannies came and went. Some quit within days. Others didn't last a single night. One even left in tears, saying she had never experienced children like this. Before Alexander tried everything, he raised the pay, offered bonuses, shorter hours, even hired professional child psychologists to train the nannies. Nothing worked. The twins pushed everyone away, screaming, biting, throwing objects, and sometimes staring at adults with a chilling silence that made grown women uncomfortable. Staff whispered among themselves that the children were cursed. Others said they were traumatized by losing their mother. Alexander heard it all, but said nothing. His face remained cold as stone. But every night, after putting the twins to bed, he sat alone in his study, staring at a framed photo of his late wife, wondering where he had gone. Wrong on evening after another. Nanny quit without notice. Alexander slammed his fist on the desk in frustration. His assistant cautiously suggested hiring a temporary maid, someone to help around the house, until a new nanny could be found. Alexander agreed reluctantly. He didn't expect much anymore. The next morning, a woman arrived at the mansion. Her name was Maria. She was in her early 40s, dressed simply, with kind, tired eyes. She had worked as a housemaid for years, cleaning homes, cooking meals, doing laundry. She had no formal childcare training, and when the assistant introduced her, Alexander barely looked up. "You'll clean, cook, and stay away from the children," he said coldly. "They don't need another person abandoning them." Maria nodded quietly. She had seen many broken homes, and knew better than to judge. The first few days Maria did exactly what she was told. She cleaned the massive house, cooked simple meals, and moved silently through the halls. The twins noticed her immediately. Children always do, but instead of screaming at her, they simply watched her with suspicious eyes. On the fourth day, something unexpected happened. While Maria was cleaning the playroom, she heard a soft cry. She followed the sound and found Emma sitting alone, clutching a stuffed bear, tears rolling down her cheeks. Any other nanny would have rushed in, tried to hug her, and probably been screamed at, but Maria didn't do that. She simply sat on the floor a few feet away and said softly, "It's okay." Takrima looked at her, surprised. No one had ever said that before. Instead of telling her to stop crying or distracting her, Maria just sat there silently. After a moment, Emma crawled closer, still crying. Maria slowly reached out and fixed the bear's torn ear without touching the child. Emma watched every movement carefully. Thought. Evening. Alexander noticed something strange. Emma ate her dinner quietly, without throwing her plate. He dismissed it as coincidence, but over the next few days, small changes kept happening. Ethan started sleeping through the night. Emma stopped screaming when bathed. The house felt quieter. Calmer. Alexander finally confronted Maria. "What are you doing with my children?" he asked. Suspiciously, Maria looked confused. "I'm just being with them, sir," she replied. Alexander frowned. That made no sense. Everyone had tried being with them and failed, but he allowed her to continue. What Alexander didn't know was Maria had her own story. Years earlier, she had lost her twin sons in a tragic accident. She never spoke about it, but when she looked at Ethan and Emma, she didn't see monsters or problems. She saw two grieving souls, too young to understand loss. Instead of forcing routines, Maria followed the twins' lead. When they screamed, she stayed calm. When they pushed her away, she gave them space. When they wanted attention, she listened. She spoke to them like adults, telling them stories about the moon, the stars, and how love never disappears, even when people do. Afternoon, Alexander came home early and froze at the sight. In the living room, Maria was sitting on the floor with the twins, both of them asleep, with their heads resting on her lap. She was gently stroking their hair, humming softly. Alexander felt something tighten in his chest. He hadn't seen his children that peaceful since they were born. That night, Alexander couldn't sleep. Memories flooded his mind. His wife's laughter, her gentle way with the babies, how she used to hum the same tune Maria had been humming. The next morning, Alexander did something he hadn't done in years. He joined them for breakfast. He awkwardly sat down, unsure of what to say. Ethan looked at him and smiled for the first time. A real smile. Alexander's hands trembled. Days turned into weeks, and the change became undeniable. The twins laughed, played, and even hugged Maria. They still had moments of anger and sadness, but they no longer felt unreachable. Evening, Maria found Alexander sitting alone in the nursery staring at an old crib. She quietly said they miss her. You know, Alexander didn't respond at first, then his voice cracked. I miss her. Too. It was the first time he had ever said it out loud. Maria told him about her sons, about the accident, about the years she spent blaming herself. Alexander listened, silently, tears streaming down his face for the first time since his wife's funeral. You don't replace the people you lose, Maria said softly. You carry them with you, and when you love again, you honor them. Alexander finally understood. The twins weren't driving people away because they were bad children. They were protecting themselves from more loss. From that day forward, Alexander changed. He reduced his work hours, started reading bedtime stories, and learned how to sit with his children. Even during their difficult moments. Months later, a professional nanny agency called, offering their services. Alexander declined. He offered Maria a permanent position, not as a maid but as a caregiver and family member. Maria hesitated but eventually accepted. Mansion was no longer silent. It echoed with laughter, bedtime stories, and soft humming. Years later, at a school event, a teacher approached Alexander and said, your twins are the kindest children I've ever met. Alexander smiled, knowing exactly who deserved the credit. Twins had once driven every nanny away. But one maid did what no one expected. She didn't try to control them, fix them, or change them. She simply loved them when they needed it most, and sometimes that's all it takes to change everything. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.